Right now, you probably know the exact time down to the minute, without even trying. A glance at your phone, and it's handled. Now imagine that number simply didn't exist. No clock, no watch, no phone, just the sky, and your own judgment. How would you know when to wake up, when to eat, or when to meet someone? For most of human history, that wasn't a hypothetical. It was just life. The very first clock humans ever had was the sun itself. Early humans woke with sunrise and slept near sunset because there wasn't much choice. Daylight meant work. Darkness meant danger. The sky was the schedule, and everyone read it the same way, whether they liked it or not. Eventually, someone noticed something useful. Shadows move in a predictable pattern. Plant a stick upright in the ground, and its shadow swings slowly across the day, shortest at noon, longest at dawn and dusk. That simple observation became the sundial, one of humanity's first real timekeeping devices, used by the ancient Egyptians thousands of years ago to divide daylight into measurable segments. But sundials had an obvious flaw. No sun, no time. Cloudy days and nighttime left people completely in the dark, literally. So humans looked for something that didn't depend on sunlight at all. Water was the answer. The ancient Egyptians and Greeks developed water clocks, vessels with a small hole that let water drip out at a steady, predictable rate. Watch the water level drop, and you'd know roughly how much time had passed, sun or no sun. Some water clocks grew remarkably elaborate, with floats, gears, and even bells to mark the hours automatically. Fire offered another option. Candle clocks, marked with evenly spaced lines, let people estimate time by how far the candle had burned down. In ancient China, some households used incense sticks marked at intervals, or elaborate incense clocks that could burn for hours, sometimes releasing a scent or sound at a specific mark to signal the passing of time. Sand joined the lineup too. The hourglass, using fine sand flowing steadily between two glass bulbs, became especially useful at sea, where water clocks sloshed unpredictably on a moving ship, but a sealed hourglass kept working no matter how rough the waves got. Still, none of these methods were especially precise, and for most ordinary people, precision barely mattered anyway. Life ran on a much simpler rhythm. The call of a rooster at dawn, the position of the sun overhead, or the ringing of a church bell marking prayer times in medieval Europe. In many towns, that bell was the closest thing to a shared public clock, structuring an entire community's day around just a handful of sounds. Then, sometime around the 1300s, mechanical clocks began appearing in European towers, using weights, gears, and an escapement mechanism to tick forward at a steady, controlled pace. These early mechanical clocks weren't especially accurate by modern standards. Some drifted by wildly by today's expectations, but they represented something new. A machine, not the sky, was now keeping time. The real leap in accuracy came in the 1600s, when the pendulum clock arrived, using the remarkably consistent swing of a pendulum to regulate timekeeping with far greater precision than anything before it. Suddenly, clocks could be trusted down to the minute, something that would have sounded absurd just a few generations earlier. As clocks improved, something interesting happened. Time itself became standardized. For centuries, every town had essentially set its own local time based on when the sun reached its highest point overhead. That worked fine until railways connected distant cities, and suddenly, a train schedule built on dozens of slightly different local times became a genuine, sometimes dangerous, mess. The solution was standardized time zones, adopted widely in the late 1800s, finally syncing entire regions to the exact same clock. From there, timekeeping kept getting smaller, cheaper, and more precise. Pocket watches, wristwatches, battery-powered quartz clocks, accurate to mere seconds a month. And eventually, atomic clocks, so precise they measure time using the vibration of atoms themselves, accurate to within a fraction of a second over millions of years. Today, the device in your pocket automatically syncs to that atomic-level accuracy without you ever thinking about it, quietly correcting itself every single day, drawing on a global network of satellites and atomic clocks most people will never see or think about even once. Think about how strange that trade-off actually is. For thousands of years, knowing the time meant physically watching something, a shadow, a flame, a drip of water. Now it happens invisibly, constantly, in the background, and the only moment most of us ever think about it is when a clock is wrong by a single minute. So the next time you glance at a clock without a second thought, remember what that convenience actually replaces. Watching shadows crawl across the ground, counting drips of water, or simply waiting for the sun to tell you it was time to start your day. Keeping time used to take real effort. Now it just takes a